The Doghouse Cup Series is proudly sponsored by Shoney's. Shoney's is today's all-American kitchen, open daily for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Shoney's guests can count on quality, delicious food along with warm, friendly service. Stop by one of the West Virginia locations and try out their freshly prepared legendary breakfast bar. And don't forget to take home a whole strawberry pie. Shoney's, delicious food and friendly service since 1947. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Freaky Fast Broadcasting on your Thursday night. Tonight, we give you the coverage of the Shoney's Doghouse Cup Series for the 2024 Season 2. Tonight, we start the race of 11 of this season as the drivers try to tackle another monster of a track. It's the 2.66-mile Talladega Superspeedway. A track the drivers can go 3 wide comfortably. Some might attempt 4 wide or even 5. But tonight, we will give you all the coverage here on Freaky Fast Broadcasting. My name is Sam Dyer. Joining me up the booth here this evening will be Zach Hall. And Zach, coming off of a break for these drivers as we had Thanksgiving, we're back to racing action once again, and it's coming down basically 2 drivers. It's both the Brandons from Bowie Esports. It's Brandon Six and Brandon Bowie. They got to make sure tonight is perfect with just 3 more races left in the season after tonight.
That's exactly right, Sam. Yeah, 3 races left after tonight, and I think this is a good opportunity if you're Brandon Bowie trying to close that gap down to your teammate of Brandon Six here in these closing weeks to really, this is probably one of your best chances because this is a wild card of a race. I mean, you want to work with your teammates, of course, and I'm sure the Bowie Esports guys will work together, but you never know. Someone could get caught up in something. It could be a huge shift in the points here with tonight's race. So this is definitely, I think, one, if you had any of the final races to circle to say, I could gain a good portion here or lose a good portion also. So it can go either way.
It really could. Last time we were at a super speedway style course, it was the Bowie Esports driver, Brian Dixon, that found himself being up front in taking the victory. And we're currently at this moment in practice, Dixon is second fastest on the board, as Talladega, one of the very many tracks that the Shoney's Doghouse Cup Series enjoys to go to throughout the season, as this will be tonight the 9th time they've ran at this track. A few drivers hoping to get themselves in the victory lane for another attempt at this. I think one of the drivers that really is looking for a surge has to be looking at Justin McMahon. Also, we haven't really talked about them a lot this season on win columns, but also Twisted Axle. They were the most dominant force in super speedway racing last season in our 2024 season 1. So maybe they can find a little bit of sneaky speed here this evening. As the field is finishing up practice, we're about to be entering into qualifying. Currently, 26 drivers have registered for tonight's race, and it's time to see where they will be starting out here this evening. Qualifying will be 5 minutes in total time. They will be given 2 laps to get their fastest lap in. And if they find themselves going a little bit too slow, or if they find themselves going through the grass or hitting the wall, that will invalidate their lap time. So all the drivers know it's go time. But Zach, the fun thing about these next gens, qualifying up front, and I feel like super speedway racing in general, this isn't the most impactful thing that these drivers are going to be worrying about this evening.
That's exactly right, Sam. I think you're bringing up a great point. It's not everything when it comes to to this race here tonight. When you go to other tracks, especially like last week at the Roval, you want to make sure you're qualifying well. It's going to be tough to make up tons of time, and starting up front is going to be the optimal way to make the most time. Well, here at Talladega, it's kind of opposite. You can start out back, and next thing you know, it 20 laps later, you could be leading this race. So it is tons of opportunity and ability to move yourself throughout the field that I think qualifying not the most important here, but it can be a confidence builder and just a way to, put yourself up towards that front end of the field where maybe you can stay out of the trouble that usually kind of lingers in that mid to farther back side of the field, usually at these plate tracks.
I know for these drivers, they're hoping to get as much speed in. You see there the 60 machine. That's going to be seeing Mike Leftwich taking it easy as he's trying to ramp up the momentum. A Bowie Esports driver in the 54 of Brandon Bowie, who has been on a roll, I would say, recently of finding a lot more consistency of finishing up front more often than not, as the 54 more traditionally known for missing qualifying or having a poor qualifying run. Curious if that's going to be the decision here tonight, as now getting up to speed. I would say for Brandon Bowie, it's going to be attempting to go for at least a decently quick time as the 54 is ramping it up and getting ready for this first lap.
It does seem like there's going to be an attempt for the 54. So yeah, definitely looking like we can see him qualify this week, and that'll be an interesting starting spot for him. And I look back to the Roval. He had such a good opportunity there to win that race. Unfortunately, it just slipped out of his hands, giving up to his teammate Zach Millett. For Millett's first career win here at Doghouse, and Bowie was just so close to getting that victory and gaining just that more chunk of points on the likes of Brandon Six, but he had to settle for second instead after a few mistakes. So I think Bowie's going to be wishing he gained those points that he did from that victory, but tonight could be the opportunity to gain even more. So we'll see what happens for this 54, but he's got to be perfect these final 4 races.
As we are currently on a 3-race streak of first-time winners in the Shoney's Doghouse Cup Series. Curious if tonight could be a 4th newest winner to the series, or will we see Brandon Six get back into the win column, or will someone else find themselves getting on the right track as the season starts to conclude? Brandon Bowie, going to be crossing the line for himself, hoping to get further up in the field. He will not get the pole time. Instead, it will go to Brandon Six in the 06. Another quick week for that 06 machine, who just always finds great consistency for himself. As for Brandon Bowie, going to look to be in the middle of the pack, where not a lot of space and time was really setting up for himself. As other drivers that have looked quick is going to be Gary Clune, who's up to 2nd, Tyler Millett, who's up to 3rd, and many of other drivers that this is their kind of star race that they're looking for. You've got Tony Martin, as well as going to be Gary Armio inside of our top 10. Bill Gentry in 7th, currently on the board, looking for strong runs as they're hoping to get their win of the season here at Talladega.
Everybody looking for those fast times, and right now it's going to be our 2 points leaders topping the board 1-2, just like they are in points. So we'll see if anybody else can shake up that leaderboard, so to say, a little bit. But very, very close times throughout majority of the field, but we do see a little bit more separation, I think, here at Doghouse in the qualifying sessions at these super speedways. And I think a lot of times comes down to the open setup nature of this league. You can tune and work on your setup and really get it perfectly dialed in. And I think a few of these drivers maybe not hit the mark in qualifying, but maybe are looking for that mark to be a little bit better of a race car in that drafting pack when we get into this session. So we'll see who can find the speed there, but definitely the 2 Bowie Esports cars atop the board right now.
Top in points, top of the board here this evening, and that is where they will stay as qualifying concludes. Drivers that did not get a time in, our winner from Daytona earlier this season, Brian Dixon, did not get a time in, as well as a few others, as we now enter into our 5-minute warm-up period, where drivers are going to be having some time to get any last little bits of tweaks that they need, maybe for their adjustments on the setup, or get last-minute practice, as well as figure out where they are where their qualifying position placed them on pit road. As for us, this gives us time to take a look at how the season has looked so far. First of all, we're going to take a look at our point standings entering this evening, and it's, like I said, kind of a 2-horse race at the moment of Brandon Six and Brandon Bowie that are from that Bowie Esports team that are looking to be the top runners for the championship. But There is no playoffs. It's about consistency of the season, and with the way the points are working, this is based off the old NASCAR Winston Cup Series point standings, where drivers, if you win, you're making over 180 points, and if you're last, you're getting around 80, so you can gain a lot. So Jamie Horn, also Eric Warman, as well as I would say Jeremiah Stutzman and Dixon are still in fighting distance. It's just the probability and how consistent we've seen Six as well as Bowie been very hard to gain any big points on those two drivers.
It's definitely been hard to gain those points, like you said, Sam. But it's opportunity here tonight. I look at Jamie Horn, Eric Warman, Stutzman. They're, a good ways back, and they're not in the picture right now to say go win the championship. But if something was to happen to the two teammates of Brandon Bowie and Brandon Six to really drop them down the standings, this could be their opportunity to slide themselves back forward, get a little bit closer, and maybe have an opportunity, because you never know. At the end of the day, it comes down to a lot of times what situation plays out in these formats like this. You got to make every race. If one of these drivers were to miss a race, it could really shake things up even there too. So close battles throughout the top 10 in the points, but definitely I think that lead one's going to be tough for them to unsurmount, but nothing is impossible.
Certainly. As we now move over to the way that this season has looked like on the schedule side of things, on race winners, pole sitters, and you look at where drivers are placed so far, the first half of the season was all Brandon Six, driver who enters into tonight with 4 wins. And then you can see a little bit of diversity was popping up with the ways of Shane Parrish gaining a victory, Justin McMahon, also Brian Dixon. But of late, this is where it's been kind of fun, seeing 3 different winners the last 3 races. Brandon Bowie at Richmond, Tyler Millett getting his first career win at Kansas, and then at the Roval, seeing Zach Millett get himself in a victory lane tonight, as well as the last couple of races. Still wide open for other drivers to get wins, but Las Vegas, Phoenix, Homestead, the next races after tonight at Talladega, we know it's going to be a tough battle for the rest of the season.
That it definitely could be. And, like you said, 3 different winners. The last 3 races, well, also 3 first-time winners, Doghouse, too, the last 3 races. So we could see possibly maybe a 4th one of those tonight. That'd be really cool to see a first career win, and it's definitely possible at the Talladega Superspeedway.
It most certainly is, as that is the way the schedule has looked so far. We also have partners that we want to say thank you for partnering up with the Shoney's Doghouse Cup Series, as well as the Shoney's Doghouse Leagues that they run throughout the week. We want to say thank you to Shoney's. Shoney's is today's All-American Kitchen. They've got many different locations in the West Virginia spots, as well as when you head on over, they've got you for service for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And I gotta say thank you to Shoney's for delicious food and friendly service since 1947. Also want to say thank you to True Patriot Apparel and Gifts. Head on over to truepatriotapparelshop.com and go check out their great different styles for you to find out where your custom designs can be, from t-shirts, mugs, tumblers, stickers, hats, and more. Again, go over to truepatriotshopUSA.com. Again, that's truepatriotshop.usa.com to use the promo code DOGHOUSE10 to get 10% off on your purchases. Also want to say thank you to SSR Designs. Go to Facebook and check out the many different products that they have for graphics that are bold and showing your own personality. You can also talk to the designers from SSR Designs for your own personal projects. See what they can help you out to make sure that your vehicles and outfits are cut above the rest. Thank you to SSR Designs for partnering up with the Shoney's Doghouse Cup Series. Also want to say thank you to Butt Kicker. Feel what you've been missing. Go check out their wide variety of different products at buttkicker.com. And the last sponsor we want to say thank you to is Nap Daddy Racing Designs. Go check out their amazing designs, as well as go follow their social media sites on Instagram, Facebook, and or YouTube. As well as if you want to check out their personal website, go to napdaddyracing.com for your next design for you. Thank you to all the amazing sponsors as we get prepared for tonight's race. It's going to be Talladega for 75 laps, no stage break, only 3 extra sets of tires in pit road, and no fast repair. The drivers that will be up front Well, let's take a look at our starting grid for tonight's race. 26 drivers expected to take the green here this evening, and it's going to be the teammates, the points leaders. It's Brandon 6 and Brandon Bowie going to be your front row. Down in row number 2 and third and fourth, we find the 45 of Gary Clune, as well as Tyler Millette in the 94. Hoping for a good surge in one of their best finishes of the season. The 2 machine of Tony Martin will be starting in 5th to finish out our top 5. Jimmy Horn, trying to get another surge to get up front and a chance for a victory, will be starting in 6th with Adam Thompson, as well as Jeremiah Stutzman in 7th and 8th. Finishing out our top 10, we find the 7 of Gary Armio, as well as Bill Gentry finishing our top 10.
Starting in 11th, this could be the 43 car of Eric Anderson. Alongside him in 12th, it's going to be the 23 of Jonathan Smith. 13th in qualifying is going to go to Mike Leftwich, with 14th going to the 24 Justin McMahon. 15th is going to be the 51 of Joe McKnight. Alongside him in 16th, it's going to be the 19 of Nicholas Atwood. 17th in qualifying is going to go to Cameron King, with Stephen Bonomo going to take home the 18th position here in qualifying. 19th is going to go to Christopher Simon, and rounding out the top 20, it's Michael Dow.
In 21st position, we find Richard LeClaire in the 17. 22nd is the 14 of Mark Dumont. In 23rd, we find Christopher Leftwich in the 8 machine. And the drivers deciding not to get a qualifying time in. We've got Brian Dixon at 24th. 25th is Eric Warman. And returning back, it's always great to see him on track. Most winning driver of the Shoney's Doghouse Cup Series. It's the 91 of Jonathan Jennings. We'll be finishing out our 26 drivers here tonight. As drivers are rolling, also want to say a thank you to everyone that's watching with us. If you haven't already, we'll talk about it more later on. Remember to go check out our social media sites on Freaky Fast Broadcasting, as we have ourselves a charity event popping up in just a month. It's crazy to think. As in January 4th, the Saturday, we're having our 4th annual 6 Hours of Daytona charity event. Remember to check out again our social medias, as well as go to our community Discord to sign up today or to just donate. As drivers are going through 3 and 4, Zach, what are those drivers maybe thinking? No, they got 75 laps, no stage break, and they've got a lot of racing to go.
You know, with the no stage breaks and a lot of racing to go, like you said, I think you're going to see a lot of patience from some drivers. Maybe a little bit farther back drivers, they'll be trying to, gain a little track position here from the patience of the other drivers and take advantage of that. But I think a lot of patience is going to be shown from these drivers, and they know 75 laps, a long way to go around here, and especially one with no stage yellers or brakes planned. They could be looking for this thing to go green and just let the strategy play out.
Well, they patiently had to drive around at 70 miles per hour around this 2.66 mile course. It's time for them to ramp it up to go almost over 200 miles per hour here at Talladega for race number 11 of the 2024 Season 2. It's the Bowie Esports driver, Brandon Bowie and Brandon 6, that are going to take us roaring down into turn number 1 as the 54 and the 06 look strong. Everyone else stay in line 2 by 2 all the way through 1 and 2.
And we'll see if that 06 jumps up in front of the 54, those two teammates. But it looks like right now the inside line is going to be the prevailing way to go right now, as Clune's giving the push to the 06 out front. But the 94 Tom Millette, the winner from Kansas, giving a great shove to the 54 Bowie. That's going to actually give him the lead heading into the 3.
And 2 drivers dropping to the apron on the backstretch. That's going to be father and son dynamic duo of Chris Leftwich and Mike Leftwich. Mike Leftwich in the 60 machine, father, son in the 8 of Chris Leftwich. But up front, to Bowie Esports drivers, Bowie as well as 6. They were side by side, but it's going to be Tyler Millette trying to get to the outside quarter panel of the 54 and across the line, lap 1. Give it to the 54 of Brandon Bowie. Just showing they were equal distance between 6 and Bowie coming out of 4, but that tri-oval, so many big moves can happen as the 54 now is fully in command on the inside, and starting to see the power of drivers. More drivers are in line on the inside. They're able to pull away as Gary Clune doesn't want to be a follower. He now will lead the outside row.
Clune definitely taking advantage of that. Jump up to the outside here. Going to get the push from the 94. Millette, who did a great job to push Bowie to the lead just a lap before. So Millette showing some strength here, and Clune side drafting the 54 in front, really trying to make sure that leader cannot break away. And it's going to be almost a dead heat here as they come through the tri-oval. And like you said, Sam, with the way the lines move down here past the start-finish line, it gives us such great runs. And right there, Bowie going to lead another lap. that inside line, they're a little bit disorganized, almost keep them lined up, and that could have been catastrophe.
In big runs. I think that's something we're going to talk about a lot as this race progresses because of these next gen cars compared to the trucks, compared to the Xfinity cars. I mean, Zach, these next gen vehicles are probably the most bizarre on how they work in the draft. I mean, this is going to be a fun race to watch, especially in the middle of the field with the big moves we're going to see.
Oh, no doubt. The runs you get are massive, and you're constantly having to check up. I mean, when you're not leading this race, you are playing with the throttle the whole time, because if you were just to hold the throttle down, you would run through the driver ahead of you. So it's definitely a place where you got to be a little bit patient and, show the ability to play with that throttle control and, be able to control the distance between other drivers. So everybody's doing a good job right now. And like I said, I think a lot of people are going to be pretty patient. Now they're going to be drafting, of course, but they're not going to be too out here making drastic blocks or side drafts to really hurt anybody's chances here early.
And side drafting also going to be a big factor on how it could hurt drivers, as one driver's being hurt, put in what we call the sucker hold. In the middle by themselves, it's Gary Clune with no one wanting to help that 45 machine, and he is heading backwards. But because he was running up high, and she was holding back that outside lane, and they were not able to even pass him, but it did break up. These drivers out, they're going to be seeing these big runs on the inside for Gary Clune, as well as a few others. As that outer groove starting to lose a little bit of who's in line and who's in control. The Mutiny we thought was going to break up with the 22 going to be Jeremiah Stutzman. Instead, they're being pinched and squeezed as drivers just don't want to stay in line. Some big moves. I believe that was Adam Thompson that just was making some very late moves to the outside and almost put the whole entire outside groove into the outside wall.
That was so close, and Thompson now going to pay the price for that too. He's going to lose every bit of track position he had. One moment he was fighting for third, now going to be back here outside the top 20. So he's going to try to fight back here on the bottom and just get in line. But yeah, it just shows you make one wrong call, you get in the wrong lane, and you're going to go backwards here because you need the help in the draft to pull you along.
And speaking about bad move, bad mistakes, and losing the draft because of it, Steven Bonomo in the 9 machine has fully just lost the draft, as he will now be running about 2 to 3 seconds slower than the field is currently, and we're expecting them to get faster and faster as this run progresses. So Steven Bonomo, he's already 2 seconds behind just the driver in front of him, 4 seconds off the leader, and this is a lonely feeling, knowing that this race has the potential of going caution-free. It's happened 2 times out of the past 8 races that they've ran here at Talladega. Question is, could we see another caution-free race here? I know it's happened before. We've called races that have gone clean and green at Talladega before. Just takes a little bit of patience, a little bit of practice, but this field, I think they have the potential of doing so, and that could hurt this 9.
No doubt. I think you're exactly right, Sam. I think this field has a very good chance of being able to take this thing all the way green to the end. So we've seen them do it plenty of times before here at Doghouse, so I wouldn't be surprised to see it once again. And if you're Bonomo, you just gotta kind of hope and just ride along and more or less just hope a caution comes out before you go a lap down. And if you do go a lap down, then you gotta hope someone else doesn't go that lap down. So if the caution was to come out, you get that lucky dog. So it's tough being in no man's land here at these tracks, but you just gotta ride along and try to make the most out of something.
Well, unlucky for Cameron King, lucky for Steven Bonomo, the 92. Also, another driver that's lost the draft, and he will fall back to the 9 machine. So at least Steven Bonomo has a chance of having someone with them, so he won't be completely alone on this course. But as shown now 2 times, you can lose the draft very easily if you're in the back, but up front, they want to get 2 by 2, and it's Justin McMahon, a driver that I thought was going to be a threat here this evening, who's trying to roll this outside groove, but every time they get to 3rd place, they kind of seem to stall out right now, as drivers just cannot find the momentum to get by those Bowie Esports teammates. As drivers are cycling up and down, where the pacing, where the slots are. This is the fun thing about super speedway racing, is finding ways to get up front. Everyone knows that there's plenty of space to go to the outside, and get a few drivers with you and to move forward. But Zach, I think my favorite part of super speedway racing is the drivers that find little pockets to drop down low, make that lane push forward, then move high when they see another pocket that opens up and pushes the lane forward that way. And just the art of trying to move their way forward here in super speedway racing.
It definitely is a great art to watch, man. And the Bowie Esport cars have been so good on the bottom, but I mean, look at what McMahon and Millette have done. They've been on the pull the line up to them and almost get completely ahead. So great job by those cars. Also got the help of Jamie Horn. That's another strong race car right there in line. Bill Gentry. So building some numbers up there, and they're trying to attack that bottom lane, but it's been very, very strong for that 54.06 with the help of the two down low.
The numbers game, so many different factors here in super speedway racing. The amount of drivers that you have in line with you can help build up speed. The numbers on your tachometers are also going to help you on knowing if your engine's going to blow or not. That was something drivers were testing quite a lot during the hour of practice before qualifying, was what was the maximum laps that you can stay directly on someone's bumper. It looked like it was only about a lap and a half that you could stay directly on someone's bumper before the engine wanted to expire. But I know with everyone being this close to one another, that number's going to shift up and down based off how well you are able to control your temps.
No doubt. It's that's a little bit of an art too, in my opinion, being able to control those temperatures and keep the push going. You know, you got to be able to duck out at certain times just to get the air in the nose, to the left, to the right, any little bit of place you can do it. I think really one person who's doing an excellent job is Brandon Six up front. He's really, I've noticed every time he gets to the straightaways, he ducks a little left, a little right, and then as soon as they get to the corners, he gets right back in line with them to make sure there's no misalignment when they got to the corner.
Riding on board with Brian Dixon, winner from Daytona earlier in the season. Justin looks like cruise control currently. The 03 runs in 11th place, and seeing some drivers moving high, some going low, and in the mirror is a driver that, joining with Dixon, decided not to qualify. That's the 91 machine of Jonathan Jennings. And the outside row's got some strength of drivers and just raw pace that we've seen at so many different racetracks. But always nice to see Jonathan Jennings back out there on track. As change for the lead, it's gonna be Justin McMahon. A huge push from Millette, forcing him to go down low. Horn now gonna have to force Millette down low to the inside. And now it's Jamie Horn, Tyler Millette, and the Bowie Esports drivers now falling to third and fourth in line on the inside.
The outside lane is showing strength here, and it's really piling up right now for the Bowie Esports guys. They got two cars ahead of them directly. So outside lane is showing the strength, and we'll see how this works together. And yeah, great to also see Jonathan Jennings back out there. We'll see what the 91 can do. He'll definitely be a factor before it's all said and done. So this is definitely shaping up for one heck of a race so far here through these first 12 laps.
As we're side by side, the roar of the engines, let's get a closer sense of what it's like for these drivers lap after lap as we take our first crank it up of the evening, riding on board with Jonathan Jennings. back, ladies and gentlemen. Hope you enjoyed that Crank It Up segment. It's now Jamie Horn, Bill Gentry, your top two, with Jonathan Jennings and Brandon. Also going to be Brian Dixon in fourth place. Dixon, our biggest mover, currently up 20 spots. Got a couple of other big movers that have made their way forward. Want to give kudos to the likes of Jonathan Jennings, who's also up 20 spots. Also, the 14 of Mark Dumont, having one of his better runs of the season, and probably one of the better runs we've captured here on Freaking Fast Broadcast, watching the Shoney's Doghouse Cup Series crew. Currently up to 7th place, up 15 positions, and the 17 of Richard Leclerc, third driver on the outside. He's finding himself being up 11 spots. Great job to see that movement up front. You might be wondering what happened to Brandon 6 and Brandon Bowie. They are back mired almost outside of the top 10. Also an update for one driver that has called it an evening. That's Cameron King. After losing the draft, pulled it into pit road and said it was over. But this race here tonight, 17 laps in of 75. We've been clean and green so far this evening. And Zach, this has been a race where it looked to be in command in the first 10 laps, that it was all going to be Brandon 6 and Brandon Bowie. But after the hard surge on the outside, we're now starting to see more drivers willing to get up front.
That we are. Everybody's doing a great job showing the strength of their race cars. And look at this, the Daytona winner from earlier this season, Brian Dixon. He's out front now. That's also another Bowie Esport car. He wasn't, necessarily in line with his teammates earlier, so he's kind of gotten shuffled from them, as now those two his other teammates are at the back of the outside line. So this outside line's been doing a good job, Sam. It's really been working its way forward and putting cars in front of the inside line, then kind of falling back and then working its way forward. So we'll see if it now be led by Mark Dumont can start to make up some ground here on this inside line. But all these cars showing strength, and look at this, some teammates starting to line up too there with the 91 and the 98.
Yeah, I've seen those elite Southern Motorsports teammates of Jonathan Jennings and Jamie Horn. So I was curious on what we were going to see there with Jamie Horn partnering up with those elite Southern Motorsports drivers. We saw the strength of the 91 in the past. Thought this could have been Jamie Horn's season to go for the championship. Just hasn't worked out in the fashion that he probably would have hoped for. He's third in points, 242 points behind our leaders in points of Brandon 6 and Brandon Bowie. But that 98, though, this is still a season that you can be proud of, how consistent he has been getting up front and having one of his better runs. We talked about how Steve Minomo lost the draft on lap 3 of the race. Well, maybe 16 laps later, and now the 9 machine is going to be going a lap down, hoping it's going to be Steve Minomo that he can stay attached to the draft, at least with the packet, and have somebody to race with. But the way that he's running and knocking in the line, it looks like Minomo, he's going to lose the pack for the second time.
It's going to be a heartbreaker for him if that's the case, but I think he's going to hold on. He's just ahead of Leftwich in the 8 machine, and I think he's got the draft of them. So Bonomo does hold on, and now I can see the speed starting to raise for him. So Bonomo right now, the only car 1 lap down. We have Cameron King, of course, 10 laps down, but he is in position to get that lucky dog if we were to get a caution.
Maybe they were playing with their food. I don't know what the case was, but Brandon 6 and Brandon Bowie are doing this all on their own from 12th to the lead. They went 3 wide, and they're back up front, almost a 10th ahead. Brandon 6 has to back off to cool the engine, but maybe a preview of what we could see on the final lap, because that was the most dominant, just get out of my way move I've seen from 2 drivers in the next-gen car.
That was definitely a very much a power move, and we'll see, if other people can get that tandem Minnesota style draft to work together. And another thing now, to add to their strong suit there, they got Brian Dixon with them now. So it's 3 Bowie Esports cars leading that inside line. But we got the the elite Southern Motorsports guys there with Jonathan Jennings and Jamie Horn right there. So we know those cars are going to be super fast also. So this is going to get very, very spicy when it starts coming down to the end of this race. But for the time being, I think a lot of these drivers just trying to get to that halfway point, Sam.
And drivers stuck 3 wide further on back. That's going to be Joe McKnight as well. I believe that was the 14 of Mark Dumont. They have to be careful. Being 3 wide, not having any draft assistance behind you, that could just be side drafting that could cost you later on. They finally get in line further on back. 'Cause now it's the train. Who's willing to make the big move, or do we stay in line until pit stops? It's gonna be the big question of the evening. I know, Zach, I was trying to look for numbers on what they expected this fuel run to be. I couldn't find it myself, but do you have an idea when you expect these drivers maybe attempt going in pit road for the first time this evening?
I think what you're going to see here, Sam, is most drivers could attempt that first pit stop around 35, because that's going to set you up for about 40 to go. Usually these next gen cars on the super speedways can stretch upwards of 40 laps on a tank of fuel here with a full 20 gallons that we get. So I'll be interested to see when they start doing it, but I think you could see others look to stretch it to about 40 to, which will be 35 laps to go, to just get that little bit of headroom just in case something was to go wrong. So we'll see how these drivers attack that, but I could see pit stops happening if as early as 12 laps from now.
And working on the outside groove, that's going to be Jeremiah Stutzman as well as Leclerc and Dumont. They're trying to make this trio as trying to work that outside groove. They're slowly marching forward, not in the same quick pace that we saw from our top two of Bowie and Six, but still showing that if you got drivers that are willing to be in line and willing to push, you can make small advancements going forward. The problem is, are you able to make the advancements sooner than when your engine says it's time to back off? As you're seeing drivers staying in line for as long as they are. Well, for us up in the booth, we are closing in to the 1/3 mark of this race, closing up. Everyone in line and being patient at the moment. I think this might be a perfect time for us to take a quick commercial break. When we come back, we're expecting to see maybe these drivers get a little bit more racy before pit stops, expected at the halfway marker. We'll see when these drivers decide to make that decision of going into pit road, but you are watching the Shoney's Doghouse Cup Series, race number 11 at Talladega. We will be back right after this with more racing action here this evening.
Welcome back, everybody, here to Freaky Fast Broadcast. We're in the Talladega Superspeedway with the Doghouse Racing League as we are back from commercial break. And as you can see, single file line and somewhat of a breakaway. We've had 17 cars break away, and we have a pack from 18th on back to 24th that have lost the draft. So right here before pit stops. We've seen a little bit of a shakeup, but everybody right now solidifying out single file as it is looking to get closer and closer to those pit stops, Sam.
Yeah, expecting to see these pit stops very soon. As got still Brandon Bowie, Brandon Six, and Dixon from Bowie Esports leading the charge. And with side drafting, it can hurt you in a lot of different ways. As from 18th on back, drivers were side drafting a little bit too hard, and now we're starting to see different packs blossom. As Joe McKnight, Tony Martin, as well as Michael Dow, Richard Leclerc, kind of hurt themselves. They also have Stephen Elmo back there. That's our second pack that's been made up. And then there's a third one of Chris Leftwich, Christopher Simon, and Mike Leftwich, that are third group that are losing a lot of time to our top 17. And just showing you can try to help yourself go forward, but Michael Dow and Richard Leclerc just cannot find a way not to stay side drafted with one another and kill all their momentum. They do it once again, even with the smaller pack that they were with.
It's so easy to do. You think you're being productive by trying to go forward, but you get side by side and the speed just drops so significantly. It's really wild to see. So, you know, I'm not surprised to see that, but definitely a situation that happens a lot here at these tracks where you just get a little bit sidetracked racing with somebody, and then all of a sudden y'all lose that little bit of speed and the draft is, so to say, gone. So it's definitely very, very interesting to see, but I can tell you what, it is very, very wild to see some of the gaps we have in the single file group here of this front 17 even, Sam. I mean, right now, our front 5 might be starting to make a breakaway.
And this was something that we kind of were talking about on the fact of setups. The fact that this is an open setup league, if you figure out how to dial up these machines to be quick, and you are a group of drivers that can stay in line and know how to manipulate the draft to perfection, they can take off and go and pull away. It's up to the other drivers to stay in line and keep their foot on the throttle, hope that they've got some help. And luckily, we're starting to see some movement where the top 10 are staying closer to one another. Top 17 are still attached by the draft, but there are spots that you're getting a little bit worried of. Do some of these drivers even have a setup at this point that can compete in a single file form? Because it is starting to get a little bit head scratching moments of, are we going to lose more drivers if some of the top 5 just decide we're going to go hammer down and you ain't catching up to us?
I also wonder a little bit of a strategy here being played by maybe some of these drivers is the factor of trying to make them have to take less fuel on the stop. You know, we see this in the real life Cup Series where they ride around at half throttle. And the reason they do that, the less fuel you got to put in the car during the pit stop, the quicker that pit stop is going to be. So any second, 1 to 2 seconds that you can save from just cruising around here and letting the draft pull you around could be a valuable time that could be gained during a pit sequence. So we could be seeing a few do that. And sometimes when you're doing that, it's easy to get those big gaps to form. And then all of a sudden you're trying to reel them back in, try not to lose that draft. So you got to be very on top of that delta and that gap ahead of you, because if not, it can quickly get out of hand. And the next thing you know, you have been, you lose that draft and you're no man's land.
Top 3 Bowie Esports drivers attempting once again to try to cut away from the rest of the field. They've built that gap up to over half a second. Jonathan Jennings trying his best to stay attached, but whenever those Bowie Esports drivers decide it's time to go, they're just, it almost feels like they're about 5 miles per hour faster than the rest of the field. And it is going to be a very tough night for themselves as drivers are taking it easy on how they want to continue on with this run. 33 laps so far have been completed, but we are inching closer and closer to the halfway zone of the race when we're expecting a lot of these drivers to think about making their pit stops to make this a final call. If you're just joining us, though, welcome to tonight's broadcast of the Shoney's Doghouse Cup Series, the 2024 Season 2, Race 11 at Talladega. Currently, your 2 points leaders are leading the race off Brandon Bowie and Brandon Six. As the race has gone on, we've lost one driver of Cameron King as he lost the draft, pulled it into pit road and called it an evening. Steve Minomo, the only driver 1 lap down, he was one of the first drivers to lose the draft, but he has been caught up with the second pack that's actually grown in drivers since the last time we looked at it. It's now 18th back to 23rd are drivers that are in the draft with one another, as currently elite pack in line, saving fuel, maybe thinking about just testing the waters of how quick they want to be, but they have been in line in this train formation. Zach, I would say probably since lap 18, they have not been in a very aggressive, we need to start making passes mode at all here tonight.
It seems like after, they made a few big moves, everybody did, they're kind of like, all right, I know what my car can do in the draft. I'm just now going to ride here and try to get to a certain lap number. And that's a smart thing from a driver's standpoint. You don't want to go out here and ruin your night here just by being complacent, by just going out there and racing super hard early. So we'll see, when they want to pick up that racing itch, so to say. But right now, I think everybody just kind of riding, and you can see the Bowie Esports cars, they try to pull away, but I just don't see a possibility of where they will do that, because really you're going to get a draft off of those cars from really all the way to a second, upwards of a second and a half. So if you're Jennings, and then if you stay within a second, you're going to be able to push right back up to them with the huge amount of draft that are going to be putting off from them being that far up ahead of you. But the biggest thing I'm watching now for is those pit stops. They have pretty much gotten to that window right now where I felt like if you were looking to be very aggressive with the pit stop and go as early as possible, I felt like now would be that window. And we'll see who's going to push that envelope, or do we see him kind of run the tank dry and go from there?
I'm curious for the Bowie Esports drivers, if they were testing the waters of, okay, the three of us, if we go as aggressively as we can pull out to this distance, could we keep that momentum, or do we need one or two other drivers to tag along with us when we go into pit road? I know that is a strategy call of you pit early, you try to come in with the smallest group that you possibly can keep the most speed with, which is usually anywhere from 5 to 7 drivers you want to pit with. But I'm curious if Bowie Esports can make it even smaller, just make it a 3-horse race that fight for the win here tonight, if they can figure out the timing of these pit stops. Again, the last times that they've ran here at Talladega, it's been kind of a caution fest, you could call it, as it seems. Last time they ran here, they had 5 cautions. Back in 2023 Season 3, they had 2 cautions. 2023 Season 2, they had 6 cautions, but it was the 2 races after the 3 last wrecking races where they went caution-free. Back in 2023 Season 1 and 2022 Season 2 Race 2, as they raced there 2 times that season. They went caution-free. They've done it in the past. The way they've been running here tonight might be another sign of attempting to go caution-free this evening, unless we see mistakes, which I know, Zach, when a race has been this calm, the only thing you're worried about is pit road and pit stops, where it is easy to make a mistake like speeding into pit road.
You're exactly right, Sam. And the biggest place to separate yourself is on pit road. So that, I think, is going to be kind of where the money is made tonight, so to say. If we stay green here for the majority of this race, you're going to make up your gaps and make your bed, so to say, when you come to pit road here. So this is very, very important. And you talked about the likes of the Bowie Esports guys kind of pushing hard and seeing how far they can make that gap. And almost testing. That's a very actually strong thing to do when you're at these plate tracks, especially when you're riding around like this. There's nothing to lose really, other than you can make a mistake. But look at this, they make a push here and they're going to come to pit road, Sam, right here on 38. And I think this is right inside the window of what you want to do. So we'll see a good grouping of cars here coming down with the Bowie Esports cars. Looks like 3 others will join them.
And that looks to be some of the Twisted Axle drivers joining in with Bowie. Jonathan Smith, as well as Gary Clune and Nicholas Atwood, going to be making their stops into pit road as the rest of the field stay out. How long are you willing to stay out for? Because it feels like you want to try to match the drivers that enter pit road, and you got to be careful of these stops. You go from a pack of 17 now down to a pack of 11. I know some drivers throughout different routes are also thinking about calls on when to go to pit road. In that second pack, they're discussing over the radio when to go into pit road. This lead group, they continue to stay out on track for another lap. And I know for Eric Warman further on back, I think he was hoping drivers would go down this go-around, because he would poke the nose like he was going to go to pit road, but got back in line immediately.
Sometimes you got to do that to just make sure if they do come that you go with them. And now, Sam, with the pit stops transpiring, the biggest thing that's most important, lap time, lap time, lap time. So these drivers need to be pushing. If they're not going as fast as they possibly can, they could be losing, valuable time when they come back out to those cars that have already hit pit road. So you don't want to lose the draft that way. And looking even at the lap times, they went from running a 49.6 to that last time by was a 50.24. So a good chunk of time lost there, and speed loss from that front pack is going to be detrimental. As looks like the 7 Armio, he's coming down. As everybody was coming here, he just made a very early turn down there.
Extremely early turn. A couple of drivers also having very early ways that they wanted to enter pit road, going very gingerly into this pit entry, which again, some drivers, they feel like they have to do that to make sure that they don't get caught with a black flag, but that is also a way to lose multiple seconds of lap time by how slow you enter pit road, as well as you can lose time like Tyler Millette just did, overcorrecting, going too far forward, having to back up, and that is a ways to just kill your run. And if multiple drivers do that and you're the first driver to take off and go, this can kill all your momentum. And Jonathan Jennings, again, one of those drivers trying to take off with a 7. Gary Armio, he is cruising slowly. Might have been one of those drivers that ran out of fuel.
Yeah, I think they stretched it too far there, Sam. I felt like it was about 40 laps of what you could do, and it looks like that was right on the edge of the window. So very, very interesting to see. And as he rolls to his pit box trying to get there, it's a long ways down for the 7. Everybody's coming out of pit road now onto the back straightaway. There's a 2-car breakaway that Brandon 6 and Brandon Bowie, they have broken away from the rest of the field. It's just going to be, only problem I think, Sam, is just 2 of them. I think at some point you're going to overheat and have to slow down a little bit and allow them to catch up.
And Armio's just too far away, so we will give you an update on the 7 if he makes it to his box. But up front, it is already looking to be the 2 teammates of Brandon 6 and Brandon Bowie that are charging ahead. They were hoping to have their teammate Brian Dixon with them, as right now it looks like almost making it to his stall is the 7 that we stay on screen for. But Dixon overshot his pit stall, had to back up, and if he had had a clean pit stop, it could have been a 3-car breakaway for this top position. Instead, it's Bowie, it's 6, trying to continue to pull away, as there might get a little bit of assistance from Richard Leclerc behind them, but Leclerc just has no momentum to be able to even stay close to those 2 drivers as they continue to put 48.9-second lap times, which are over half a second faster than the rest of the field, and they've consistently been doing that.
That's wild, I'll tell you. And the thing that they're doing too is they lost a little bit of time that last time. They're swapping into the corner. So what they'll do is they'll let one driver push to a point, get hot, swap immediately, and that has allowed them to make some really good lap time. The only thing that concerns me is I think as they swap more and more, the lap time is going to be lost there, and it did seem like that second grouping about 3 to 4 tenths quicker that last time by. So once they get, right now they're about 3 seconds back. Once they get within a second and a half, they're going to get a huge head of steam on these front 2, and it's going to be a big run. So if I'm Brandon 6, I'm Brandon Bowie. Right now I'm focusing on having the most momentum, having the most speed when this pack comes up to you, because you don't want them to go around you with so much speed that you get side drafted and lose the draft.
It is the chase down. This is what can unite a group of drivers to get in line and put down fast lap after fast lap. They are about a tenth faster than Brandon 6 that last go around. Small little gains, and it's going to be a whole race to catch up to those top 2 drivers. Gary Armio attempted his try to stay attached with the draft. He's still within a half a second, but he just lost the draft fully to the top 2. And we watched how quick Brandon 6, Brandon Bowie were able to just climb from about 10th position to the lead and build a gap, even working as tandem. And I think having the help of Gary Armio there will help out this second pack to close in on our leaders. Jonathan Smith is just have to be thanking Armio, is that lap driver that's in between. We got to hope that 7 goes wide and doesn't side draft the pack to kill their momentum that they just gained.
He's going to go way wide there and does a great job of not slowing them down. So Armio being real good team player to that line, is now the 23. It's going to need that 45, that 19, that 91 all to start pushing, because they were about a half second quicker than our leaders that last time by with the swap, and they brought it down to about 2.4 seconds. And again, into 3, the leaders swap, and every time they do the swap, they lose about 2 to 3 tenths, but they do sometimes gain it back with how big they're pushing on the other side of the track. So it's very interesting to watch these two, and very creative also from them, just to keep swapping like this and giving massive shoves like this one.
I mean, it's the audible call that they had to make, because I think the original plan was to hope that it was going to be a 3-car group, that they were going to have Brandon Dixon with them and just push along, and they were going to be fast enough to stay ahead of this path. And now that's just 2 drivers. Like I said, they got to get a little bit creative how they swap back and forth, keeping to make sure the temperatures don't go too far down, as when there isn't an anchor point for the second pack to close in the gap, it continues to stay around 2.2 seconds to 2.5 seconds between one another. And some of the drivers in the second pack over the radio getting slightly irritated that they're just not able to close in on the gap on just 2 drivers ahead of them.
This is wild. And I tell you what, Sam, they pulled right there on the front straight. Watch this lap timer. This is going to be a 48. Yeah, that is one of their fastest lap times, and it is their fastest lap times of the race doing this technique. And they opened up 7 tenths from the entry of 3 to the start finish line, almost a full second. So don't put it out of the realm. If they keep doing this excellently and pulling this off like they are, we could see them hold this group back, and that would be, I mean, something I've never seen.
No, and the swapping back and forth again, it does hurt their time. They had to do a full lap of pushing to get a little bit more space so they could swap back and forth, because at the rate that they were losing ground, they were going to get caught. But that second pack, they've got some new drivers leading the charge, and it's the fastest 3 besides our top 2. It's Jonathan Jennings, Jamie Horn, and it's the Bowie Esports driver kind of betraying their teammates. Dixon being the huge push to help Jennings, Horn, and Dixon himself in this whole entire second pack to close in the gap almost immediately. Half this time has been split away just because of the way they've rearranged these drivers.
That is wild to see. I mean, you put some of the fastest cars out in front of the line, and they go, man. That's the thing, So Jennings showing right now that they have got a ton of speed. Him and Jamie Horn in that car dialed in. And I think you're going to see again that gap close down. And right now it's down to about a second. Watch the speed as they close in here, folks. It's about to get big lap times from the 91 and the 98.
But a threat. Obviously, we know that the 2 drivers, this was an amazing performance with holding back the rest of the field for these 8 laps. Was the funnest to see, just a 2-car tandem. Kind of gave flashbacks to the Car of Tomorrow days when it was a 2-car tango that you would see out on these courses. But now it's going to be seeing this huge pack close in. But if Dixon gets lined up with Bowie in 6, it's game over for the rest of the field. This 03, it is the whole pack's. They have to work as one to stop the 03 from closing up to 6 and Bowie, because that was the only time that everyone else had a fighting chance to go for the lead position, was when those 3 drivers were split up.
I tell you what, they were going for it too, still right there. They were pulling away down the back straightaway, and Brandon 6 was giving such a big shove to Bowie, almost wrecked them, that they had lost so much momentum with that now look at this, Jennings to the outside with the help of Horn and Dixon as he's going to try to follow through. And I can see this 03 probably jumping down in front of his teammates here quickly.
And Brandon Dixon, Ryan Dixon trying to get down in front of Bowie, not able to do so just yet, as drivers are trying to get in line, as Dixon blinks out for a quick moment, spooks the field and gives a chance. But the huge drop off in splitting the group was Jonathan Smith. That 23 might have just been the hero, and now it's up to the outside row that's losing ground to try to keep Bowie in 6 on the inside row. And for these drivers, again, it's keep the Bowie Esports split up, and the rest of the field has a chance for a win.
This has definitely gotten very, very interesting now with Jennings out front. He's going to have a strong car. He's going to have his teammate right with him, and also he's going to have the likes of Brian Dixon, who's been making some great moves in the 03 also. So we'll see how this all shakes out. Jonathan Smith kind of the buffer in the middle of everything, but we got a great I think, set of cars here setting up for a battle here coming down to the end of this race.
And now it's the thought of, do you save or do you go? Do you allow just Jonathan Jennings and Horn be the leaders at this moment? And if you're the likes of Bowie and Six, are you just going to linger back and save a little bit of fuel? Because of how fast they were driving, they were burning the most fuel of anybody out there on track. And now they're just going to be resting in the middle of this pack. And it's hope that they don't get caught up in the big one, as this lead group now down to just simply 11 drivers in this pack that are on the lead lap. With mixed and mingled are a few of the lap car drivers.
We'll see if they can continue to keep this thing running right now, because it's been an excellent race so far through the 52 laps. And, you know, the pit stops, again, they were the make or break point for a lot of people. Some people made mistakes, and it's really shown now the people who are able to stay right with it. And they're going to have an opportunity here, if this race does stay green like this, to go for a victory. So just shows you pit stops can mean so much when you come to the super speedways and the strategy.
I want to say thank you to everyone that's joining with us here tonight. I think we're going to step away and have our final commercial break of the evening. When we come back, it is going to be the late charge. Who will win here tonight at Talladega for the Shoney's Doghouse Cup Series? It's your 2024 Season 2, Race 11. We will go side by side so you don't miss a thing, but we'll be back right after this for more Super Speedway racing. They're 5 wide behind the pit.
Oh my, the 5 wide here. This ain't gonna work. They make it last. Bumping and banging to the end. They're beating banging for the lead. Sora still with the shot here, coming off a 4. That's it.
It's bottom line. Here it comes. I know Carter gets wrecked. It's gonna be that Nick Crawford. The 74 gets through somehow, and they just completely demolish one another. Trinity driving down low, drifting up, trying to be the stealer. Here he comes. Cedric Hunter. He does it. He steals it.
But he somehow drove it into the corner to wreck it.
Oh, they wrecked! They wrecked each other! The top two bounced into one another. Just too much of side drifting off of, and they gotta be careful. Oh no! The 4 demolishes in the 28. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Shoney's Doghouse Cup Series. It's your 2024 Season 2, Race 11 at Talladega. Less than 20 laps to go here tonight. And it was the Bowie Esports drivers of Brandon Bowie and Brandon 6. They finally got caught when we went to commercial break. And it's been the likes of Jonathan Jennings and Jamie Horn from the Elite Southern Motorsports team that's been leading the charge up front. So far this race, we've had only one DNF, and that was Cameron King, who lost the draft, pulled into pit road, and called it an evening. Had a couple of drivers make mistakes under pit road that have forced them to go a lap down. Some just lost the draft. This lead pack, it's our top 11 that are in this group, along with a few lap cars, such as Richard Leclerc and Michael Dow, as well as seeing some drivers trying to pick and choose where they want to be placed for the final surge. It's 17 laps to go here tonight. But I gotta say, Zach, the way that this race is going, it almost feels like that we're gonna have to wait until the final lap to maybe see the surge from these two drivers, but it looks like it's now. Brandon Bowie, Brandon 6, they go to the outside lane. They haven't gotten in line to pushing one another to take that lead spot, but they're waiting for Dixon, and here we go. Ring the end bell, because if they get up front, this race might be over and done with already.
They are definitely very, very strong. We'll see right here the strength of them is, look right here already in the turn 1. They're going to be 3 cars clear of the field, and they're going to look to drop down and take this lead as Bill Gentry is saying, man, I wish I could have just been on to keep the draft right with him, as he's getting the push from McMahon, and they just can't somehow keep right to that back bumper. But here comes a run from Jonathan Jennings, and at 91, he's going to have something to say about this along with the 98 is, with 16 to go, I think a lot of people still waiting in lines just for those big pushes to happen.
Yeah, that was the thing. We weren't sure if we were going to see that move now or if we were going to see it around the white flag time, because we saw how strong Brandon Bowie and 6 could just push one another to get to the lead almost instantly. In trouble, though. Cars making contact through the grass, as it looked like that was Leclerc and Dow making contact. Will's Bill Gentry as they go into the grass. Currently, we stay green, but trouble for Michael Dow, who just gets clobbered down into the grass.
That he does. Dow still getting back up to speed, but yeah, it looked like the 4 just getting a little bit of a big push from the 24. Sends the 4 down into that 50, and unfortunately for Dow, he's the one that really lost out, as Gentry's trying everything in his power just to hang on to this draft, Sam, and I think unfortunately he has lost that draft.
Yeah, he's lost it for the 4, and want to recount what I said. Actually, Leclerc not involved with that incident. He's been right next to Dow for most of the evening, but it was the 4 of Gentry as well as Dow that have the issue. But even with that contact, we stay green, and now makes this pack of 11 drivers on the lead lap. Now down to just 10 drivers on the lead lap, and all lap cars are now no longer here. It is strictly just the drivers that are on the lead lap racing for the win that are tagging along, as now it is the run from Jonathan Jennings, Jamie Horn on the outside, as well as going to be seeing the likes of the 23 of Jonathan Smith, the first attempt to go after our top 2, and this is the best surge I think we've seen so far, with having 3 Bowie Esports drivers in line. This is the closest anyone's been just to get up to the second driver of the Bowie Esports.
They've definitely been showing some strength in Jonathan Jennings' camp here, as they want to pull alongside that 54, but still just so tough to get completely there. I think The 98, the 91, they're going to need a little bit of help. And right now, it looks like the 23 of Jonathan Smith is going to be the driver to do that. But it's Eric Warman who's taking advantage of all this. He goes to the bottom. He's going to try to slide behind the Bowie Esports crew.
And also going to be Gary Clune and Nicholas Atwood, the Twisted Axle drivers out on track that are also going to stay on the inside, getting closer to Warman. And it's going to hurt all the drivers on the outside groove as Justin McMahon now going to be joining on that outside groove, making an L4 driver pack that's trying to make that outer groove find some speed. They are starting to woe back. The reason why Brandon Six backed off, cooled off the engine, and he's going to show some muscle as the 06 trying to help Bowie to go forward and help Dixon to not have any worry of a driver to their outside.
Definitely doing a good job right now on that bottom as they keep the outside at bay. As we'll see what the outside can formulate right now, but I think everybody's still got to have those engines in somewhat of a decent zone when we come down to the end of this race. If you're not going to be able to push. And right now, everybody just testing the water, so to say, for the late run.
As with 12 laps to go, know that this field is trying to find their spacing on where to attack and go forward. This might be our one and only time to talk about it before the chaos starts to rage up. I want to say, hey, congratulations to all the drivers out on track here for the Shoney's Doghouse Cup Series. But if you'd like to help out a great cause, we are having our 4th annual 6 Hours of Daytona charity event. It's endurance racing, similar to what these drivers on iRacing are going to have for their Rolex 24 Hours. It is going to be a great event that we are partnering up with the Breakthrough T1D group, formerly known as JDRF. We're going to be having, again, our 4th annual charity 6-hour Daytona race, and you, the fans, are going to be able to, you, the viewers, I should say, are going to be a lot more interactive this year. We've got more details to be given out throughout the month, but it is January 4th, a Saturday. We're going to be having our charity race. And Zach, I gotta say, I think this year I'm always excited for our charity event because we've broken records each and every year of how much we raise and donate. This year, I think I'm the most excited just because of the amount of incentives that we have coming in.
That's for sure. You know, before it's always been kind of about just, you know, everybody donating some money and doing it for a good cause and going out there racing. Now we're going to go out there and do the same thing, but we're going to throw a little bit of rewards out there, some funny pranks and things that maybe some people will get a good kick out of for sure as the race goes on. And again, if you want to participate in that, make sure you go sign up for it because, you know, that's going to be quite the event. It's great practice if you're looking to do the 24 hours of Daytona. And if you're completely new to the, you know, sim racing endurance side of things, you've never done a team racing event, you've always been on iRacing and been interested in it, this is probably your best chance to get your feet in the water and just test out and figure out how everything works. You know, there's nothing on the line. It's all about charity, raising money for type 1 diabetes, and definitely a good time we're going to have. So if you want to come out there, like Sam said, go to our social medias. You can find all the ways to sign up, ways to join the Discord, where you can find all the other information and just get yourself right involved with the Freaky Fast community because it is going to be, I think, a very, very special event this year with everything we've got set up and planned for it. So I can't wait for it to all start to unfold here soon. We start to show more of the details. But I tell you what, it's going to be a time I don't think anyone out there is going to want to miss.
And we've already got 2 incentive goals that if we hit those markers, we will do those events. We've got at $500 if we raise, we will have the Category 5 esports team have their own commentating segment during the 6-hour event. We have $2,000. I will do the 1 chip hot challenge. It's one of the hottest chips that you can eat. It has hurt people. It's sent people to the hospital. I'm willing to do it for $2,000 if we donate and raise that much. We'll also have a lot more incentive goals in between our 500 to 2,000 as the month progresses. We will be unveiling those. But again, thank you to everyone that's already wanting to participate, be involved with this event. It's one that we are very proud of, and we're excited to be seeing. Once again, it's June 4th, a Saturday. Mark it on the calendar. We will see you in the new year for a fantastic charity event. But for the drivers here tonight, it is about to be crunch time. Who can find a way to get by the Bowie Esports drivers? Eric Warman now going to be the next driver in line in 4th place, but will he move up or stay in line as that outside group has been swapping back and forth, trying to figure out who's going to be the leader of the outside run? Currently, it's Jonathan Jennings, Justin McMahon, and Horn that are in the line with one another. But if you just have 3, that's not going to be strong enough to get by this whole group. it's just looking like, Zach, they're going to need everyone to move up except for those 3 Bowie Esports drivers if you're going to make a pass.
That is definitely what it's looking like here, Sam. I mean, we'll see how it plays out with 7 to go, coming to 6 to go, but they're gonna have to formulate something because so far that trio up front has been hard to get around. We have seen nights and moments where they have been able to formulate around the outside of them. But I tell you what, I think when it comes all down the push and shove, you're gonna see some big shoves from a lot of these guys, and I think you could see some mistakes that pop up, and you never know. We could see an incident in this front pack or even one of our farther backpacks. I mean, because really, you know, we got this front 10 cars, but from 11th all the way back to 20th, there is a whole group there. So that group is pretty much starting to stack up a little bit too. That second group catching up from Christopher Leftwich on back.
Yeah, that's the second and third pack are trying to merge into one. They've been struggling though, as the second group just surges at times, and this third pack that we see on screen being led by the 8 Chris Leftwich, the closest they've been was a second and a half, but they continue to lose time. They just are not able to fully cement themselves moving forward. I think they're going to have to realign and find some different drivers to be pushing and pulling this group to catch up to the likes of Jeremiah Stutzman in 11th place. But they're all going to have to just watch on the stream to see who's going to be charging for this win, because if we don't get a caution soon, it is just going to be down to just the top 10 drivers of Brandon 6, Bowie, as well as Dixon, Warman, Clune, Smith, Atwood, Jennings, Horn, and McMahon. The top 10, the only drivers in the lead pack. And they've got a huge run right now to figure out how do you get by the 3 drivers leading this race. Because, Zach, at this point, I mean, I feel like we could just call it at this time. It's going to be the Bowie Esports drivers unless someone takes out one of the 3.
It's going to be tough to get around. The speed they have shown has been immense. And again, when it comes to open setups, you get these cars dialed in, man, they are rocket ships. And I think that's just what we've seen from that group. But I tell you what, if the thing is, there's 3 of them, there's 7 other cars. If all 7 of them were to gang up on them, I think they could definitely have a great shot at it. So nothing's over yet. 4 laps to go. Let's see who can put it all together. It's Atwood now. He's going to jump up there. He's going to have the 98 of Horn along with McMahon and Jennings. So the outside building some numbers here. We could see their first attempt here to try to go get this lead from this Bowie Esports group. But you can see those 3 just locked together down the back straightaway.
And seeing Nicholas Atwood, it was almost a year ago for the 2023 Season 3 Talladega race, where it was the 19 that led the most laps, ran 21, led 21 of 67 here tonight. Still wanting to just lead a lap if possible, as they're getting by the 50 machine, and Michael Dow, who keeps it close to the outside wall. Everyone else squeezes down to the inside groove. Now looks like even with all that switching up, now it's going to be seeing Jamie Horn leading the outside pack. He's now going to be also having Justin McMahon get right on the rear bumper. Jonathan Jennings, Atwood, with all the very close side drafting. As, oh no, trouble going to be on the outside. Another bad bump, as Justin McMahon just giving bad bump after bad bump. That's another driver that he sent, this time to the outside wall for Jamie Horn.
Jamie Horn to that outside wall, and man, oh man, it has separated things. But we're looking at our second group, and the lead pack is starting to heat a little bit up, as Brian Dixon has got to be looking in his mirror. As right now, that 19 at Atwood is looking around the outside here, but he's only got 2 cars with him.
We got 2 cars, and one of the strongest that was going to help them now damaged, wounded, and off the speed from where he needs to be helping anyone now. So it just went from, it could have been a 3v7 for the win down to a 3v6. Who's willing to help? And do you trust some of these drivers now in this pack to give you clean bumps? Because Justin McMahon struggling here tonight to give clean bumps to drivers to go forward. That's the second driver in the last 10 laps that he's actually given bad bump to. But with 2 laps to go, if they take the white flag, this race becomes official, and you're looking to see who's willing to move up. Eric Warman is sticking to the back bumper of the Bowie Esports drivers. That is not where you want to be if you want to get by those teammates, as they're about to say take off and go as we are about to cross the line. White flag in hand. Here we go, Zach, let the race begin. Will Bowie Esports just pull away, or can someone stop them?
They had such a big run, Jonathan Smith and them, but they stacked up there just as they crossed the line and couldn't get the run to continue. But we'll see down the back straightaway if they have some. They pulled the 06 off of them, and 06 down the track here. This is now going to open up the chances for people, but Brandon Bowie is pushing Brian Dixon, trying to push him away, and right now Jonathan Smith not going to have the help he needs.
Not at all. They're not in line. They're all side by side. It is just Bowie Esports. 1, 2, Dixon, Bowie. No one is even having a chance to run them down as they go into the tri-oval. They're still pulling away. It's over a half a second. Now they'll be side by side. Brandon Bowie going for the win over Dixon, and Bowie gets another win this season and cuts down on that points gap. And it's going to get a little bit closer with 3 races to go. Brandon Bowie helps his teammate get the gap and steals it at the line.
Great job by Brandon Bowie there to steal that one for Brian Dixon with the push. He pushed him so far out there that he had such a good opportunity to do that and to not risk, both of them losing position, that he could do that. And that right there is going to gain him a good chunk of points. Like you said, Sam, 7th going to be for Brandon 06, who got that contact there coming off of 2, and it sent him down the racetrack and really got him stacked up behind that grouping. So right now, Brandon Bowie gaining the most points we've seen for a while on Brandon 6.
What felt like it was a race against the rest. Justin McMahon will come away taking 3rd for himself. Jonathan Smith 4th. Nicholas Zatwood will take that 5th place position. As the rest of the field, some are frustrated, some are ready for this race to see where it's going to move forward to. But there's one driver that's got to be happy, and that's going to be Brandon Bowie, part of the Bowie Esports team. Got Brian Dixon, his teammate, right behind him. They drove away, and honestly, this 54 making the late surge that Brandon 6 is going to have a challenger for this championship now, as winner of Talladega goes to Brandon Bowie. For us up in the booth, though, we will step away. When we come back, we'll talk to our top 3, Brandon Bowie, Brian Dixon, and Justin McMahon, to get their thoughts on tonight's race. We'll be back for the post-race show. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, for the post-race show here on Freaky Fast Broadcasting for the Shoney's Doghouse Cup Series. Race 11 at Talladega goes to a Bowie Esports driver. I think that's no surprise. The surprise was who was going to be one of the three to win it, and it actually came to the line of Brandon Bowie. We're going to bring in this 54 machine as we were not able to talk to him at his first win at Richmond, but we get to talk to him for his second. Brandon, congratulations on the win. Man, how are you feeling after the utter dominance your team performed and showed here tonight at Talladega?
Yeah, thanks. Feeling pretty good. Feeling pretty good. I wasn't really sure what to kind of expect going into it. There were some interesting strategies that was going on that I could tell. I think at one point, like half the field was saving fuel, and I was like, I think we're just gonna wing it and just see what happens. And then the pinning started. I'm be honest with you, was actually excited to see that we actually went caution free. So that was that doesn't happen a lot, especially at the Superspeedway. So it was fun to just see how the strategy played out and trying to do the two-car tango again from back in, I don't know what that was, 2010, 2011 days. And it doesn't work as good as it used to, but that was fun. But the whole race, the whole experience, I had fun. It's I keep chipping little by little at Mr. Brandon 6, but he's still got quite a bit of a lead, so we're gonna have to do some more work.
Definitely some still more work to do for you, Brandon, but congrats again on the win here, man. Second of the season, like Sam said. So that was great to see you pull that one off. But we saw the strength through him. The three teammates, y'all were just so strong together all night. It almost seemed like at moments y'all were testing how much, you could really, get away with the pushes there. Was that kind of what we seen, whereas y'all would kind of pull away from the pack there and then kind of come back together?
Yeah, just trying to just honestly just trying to learn, like what can we get away with. If I push you this far, how far can I push you before it gets to a certain point? So this race for us was a lot of learning and just trying to understand the limitations of the car, of how much fuel you're burning, kind of like our whole laundry list of things, just testing. But the rest of the driver, they came on strong on that white flag, and they got to Brandon 6 there, and at that point we had to go, and it kind of didn't work in their favor because they pretty much all started side drafting each other, and then that kind of just pretty much gave away their chance of probably winning. But and then me racing my own teammate. I really don't like racing like that to the line, but at the same time, I kind of changed my mindset. Like, you know what? Well, if we keep it clean, we don't wreck each other, then I think it's fair. So, kind of did that at the end. I even apologized to Brian after, like, I'm sorry, but I wanted to win. So, and he understood that. So it's the majority of these races, especially for me, I don't get to practice as much. So takes me a little bit to kind of understand what the car wants, what the setup is going to do, and then once I kind of get in the rhythm, then I can kind of run with the rest of the guys. But for me, every race is learning. I'm learning something new at pretty much every race.
I mean, Brandon, also with this win, it helps you close in the gap just a little bit more on your teammate of Brandon 6. What is your mentality knowing that this race does kind of help things a little bit easier with 3 more races left in the season?
Man, it's still an uphill battle, to be honest with you. Brandon 6 is obviously fast. He's has multiple wins, and it's a challenge to kind of go up against him week in and week out, especially with us all knowing the information that we know and within our team. And then we all share that information, then it's like I still got to find ways to kind of step up to the plate and actually beat him. So it's not easy. I will say that. I'm going to give it my all 110%. And we'll just see how things shake out. Hey, look, something could happen. We could, lag out of a race or have connection issues or get wrecked. I mean, none of these races are guaranteed for really any of us that do these races. So anything can happen. I would hope that nothing like that would happen, and we all could just race straight up and just kind of see how the points fall. But I mean, you never know.
That is so true. You truly do never know. But Brandon, congratulations on this win here tonight. And before we let you go, the floor is now yours for any other shout outs.
Yeah, of course, shout out to main sponsor Gremlins Cards. You can check them out at tinyurl.com/Gremlins Cards. You can use the promo code Bowie Esports 20 for 20% off. Check them out there. Gotta thank Battle Beaver. Gotta thank Boosted. Circle B Diecast. Gotta thank my team. Like I said, we did a really good job tonight. Kind of trying to learn to control the race, even though we did lose it at times. And that's just because the other drivers were more coordinated than we were at times. Gotta thank you guys for putting on the broadcast. Didn't get to see my first win, but that's okay. You guys made it up, and you guys are here for the second win. So excited to go back and watch this race. Yeah, I gotta thank, like I said, the family, the league, the competitors, and yeah, I think that's about it.
Well, that'll be your winner here tonight for race number 11. It's second of the season. It's your 54 machine of Brandon Bowie. Brandon, enjoy this one, and good luck next week at Las Vegas.
Thanks, Sam.
As we move from first place, we go down to second to the driver that had probably the more heartbreaking moment. I thought he had the win and the lead coming out of turn 4, but gets passed by his teammate. We've got Brian Dixon with us. Brian, you of the Bowie Esports teammates probably had the most rocky up and down part. You had to keep on trying to find your teammates throughout this race. How are you feeling, though, with your performance this evening coming away second?
Uh, Way better than I thought it was gonna happen. I started way in the back and just slowly moved my way up and found my teammates. As soon as I found them, everything hooked up, and just thankful for them talking me through what to do.
It was definitely some great teamwork from you guys out there, Brian. So congrats on a second place finish, man, and really excellent performance from you tonight. And should have gained you a good bit of points here to possibly move yourself almost into the top 3 in points. So, closing out with 3 races to go in the season, what's the goals for you? Because definitely you could finish strong here, possibly even top 3.
Um, to be honest, if you don't do this, you want top, you want to win every race, but I don't see that happening. If I get a top 8, I should be all right, and the rest of the races.
It seems like a solid plan for yourself. Brian, I mean, what was it like trying to help the second pack when you were trying to catch back up with your teammates? Because we saw that you had slight issues on pit road. What was like that journey trying to run down your 2 teammates that were trying their best to keep ahead?
Yeah, I was kind of worried that they're gonna leave me out to hang, to be honest. And I was in chat with my teammates, so I was telling them, yeah, I'm trying to pick cars that I know I can work with pretty good to get back up to them. And I found uh what was it, the 98, and I think his teammate, and it all worked out, thank God.
It certainly did. Well, you come away second here tonight. Congratulations on that. And before we let you go, floor's now yours for any other shout out.
Yeah, like always, I want to thank Doghouse for letting me do this, and you guys broadcasting, and 100%. It's all on Bowie Esports, my team owner, and Six for talking me through this.
Well, again, that will be your second place finisher here tonight of Brian Dixon. Enjoy this one, Brian, and good luck next week at Las Vegas.
Thank you.
As we move from that second place position, we go to third. The driver that was trying their best to run down those top 2, but ultimately took the best finish he could. We got Justin McMahon with us. Justin, it looked like it was everyone against Bowie Esports tonight, but how are you feeling after your run here this evening?
Uh, I'm happy to come away in third. Other than that, I'm not too happy with myself there. I feel bad. I got to apologize to my teammates Bill and Jamie. I kind of ruined their nights tonight there with one being a little too aggressive on the push there with Bill, and I was trying to, push Jamie up to the front there to try to help him get the win tonight, and I just caught him in a weird spot again too in the corner, and almost ruined his night, ruined his chance to win it, obviously. So feel super bad about that. It's the last thing I wanted to do, but the cars felt really, really weird. With like the final 10 laps, it felt like there was Velcro on the front bumper, and getting the pushes to give a bump draft or whatever. The cars were really reacting completely different than they were all night. So I'm not sure if that had anything to do with it or not. Yeah, but other than that, I mean, I guess I'll take a top 3, but I was really hoping to help my teammates out there, and I kind of feel like I failed at that tonight.
Definitely tough situations out there tonight that you were in, Justin, but definitely still a great finish to bring home for yourself this late in the season, and especially with the points as close as they are. But you brought the bumps being hard to make. It kind of explains to the folks out there like how easy is it to make that mistake, because it is fine and narrow margins for sure.
Yeah, it is. I mean, it's the margin for error is so small. If you're off center just a little bit, and somebody doesn't expect it coming, I mean, it's being off center can just upset the car so much. It can really make things go haywire in a split second. So I mean, being there, and especially when you're on somebody's bumper, it's hard to see in front of the car in front of you. So you're trying to just drive at the car's bumper in front of you. So it's extremely difficult. Um, like you said, I mean, the margin for error is tiny. So you really gotta be white knuckling it the entire time, and coming down to the end of it with the last couple laps there, I mean, you really got to be aggressive if you want to get up there, especially with that top lane really just wasn't going anywhere. We did get a good run, and then guys, for whatever reason, might kind of duck out or whatever, and it would just kill our run like that. So yeah, it is what it is. But yeah, those errors or those bump drafts and everything are very crucial and have to be very precise for them to work out. And we saw those almost go bad. So it is what it is, I guess.
Well, I know, Justin, compared to last season, this has been an upgrade for yourself. You've found yourself in a victory lane once this season. You've had a lot of good runs overall. With 3 races left in the season, what is your ultimate goal for the rest of this season with these final 3 races?
Yeah, I think just try to be consistent, and at least, be realistic about my finishing, and try to maybe top 5s would be good. At least give me a little bit of confidence going into next season, I think. So that, and I'm not sure what the point situation is for Jamie and those guys up front. I think 6 has got a pretty good lead, or Bowie, one of those guys. So I'm not sure if I can help him get up there to give those guys a run or not. But yeah, give myself top 5 finish, and maybe try to help my teammates out a little bit to help them finish a little bit better as well.
Well, Justin, still a great finish for yourself here this evening. Before we let you go, though, the floor is now yours for any other shout-outs.
Yeah, just give a shout out to Group 6 for the sponsor on the car. He's helped me out a bunch this season. You guys for doing the broadcast. You guys always do a great job. And Daniel and Doghouse and Shoney's for everything, for putting the league on and everything. And shout out to all the guys in the team there that help out every week. Wouldn't be able to do it without them. So thanks a lot.
Well, that will be our 3rd place finisher here tonight in the 24 machine of Justin McMahon. Justin, congratulations on the finish, and good luck next week at Las Vegas.
Yeah, thank you.
As that will finish up our interviews here this evening, as tonight's race went clean and green. Now the 3rd time at Talladega of the 9 times that they've ran here in the Shoney's Doghouse Cup Series. They've been able to go caution-free in this race. Always an impressive feat to be seen. And I know for the field, they love the strategy calls for those that were up front. Others maybe have wished there was a caution to breathe new life and a chance for a victory or a better finish. But ultimately, your unofficial results, it goes to Brandon Bowie taking the win over Brian Dixon in the 03. Justin McMahon, even with his woes, of getting into drivers takes away a third place finish, with Jonathan Smith taking fourth. A great run for himself. Nicholas Atwood having one of his best finishes of the season for the 19 in fifth place. Eric Warman will take sixth. Seventh goes to the 06. In Brandon 6. In 8th, we find Jonathan Jennings. Jamie Horn will take 9th, and finishing out our top 10, we found the 22 of Jeremiah Stutzman.
Definitely a wild finish there for our top 10, so to say, but it looked like it was very close for a lot of these guys coming to the line, even for that second group. So a lot of guys that just lost that draft that we're looking at now that could have possibly been right up in the mix, but it just shows you when the race goes clean and green light is some of these drivers, they're going to be wishing that they didn't have those mistakes on pit road or early in the race to lose that pack, because it come back to really hurt their chances here this late in the the event. So didn't get to see them come back from that, Sam, but they'll live and learn for the next time here they're at a Superspeedway.
They certainly will, as that will finish up our unofficial results. 26 drivers taking the green, and ultimately it was Brandon Bowie taking the victory. We knew that it was most likely going to be one of the Bowie Esports drivers. We just didn't know which one of the three was going to get it done. It was the driver that wanted to keep this championship hope still alive, as Brandon Bowie will cut down just a little bit more on that championship. But with 3 races left, looks to just be a 2-horse race for the championship run. It's between Brandon Bowie and Brandon 6. But if we want to see more racing action throughout the week, we've got you covered, as we've got 3 races going to be the ISRC Truck Series, as they're heading into their penultimate race of the season. Just 2 more before we crown a champion. Then the WSSR Cup Series is back in the swing of things, as they're heading into race number 5 of the season this upcoming Wednesday. And then we're right back here next week for Las Vegas, before we're going into a month-long break before these drivers will finish out the season in January for the Shoney's Doghouse Cup Series. But Zach, it's been a fun night, caution-free. Any final thoughts before we call it a night?
Shout out to Brandon Bowie for the win. That was an excellent job by him to push his teammate and him so far out in front of the field that he had the opportunity to take that opportunity and chance to take the win. So he needed that for the points. That sets us up for that battle closing in just that little bit more for these final 3 races. And also shout out to the rest of the field, clean and green. That's always something that I think everybody on the field needs to take a pat on the back for, is being able to go completely through this race with no yellow flags. That is definitely a feat that not surprising for the Doghouse Racing League to pull off, but always I think a feat that you should take huge credit for. So definitely a great job and great race out there tonight, and can't wait to see how these next 3 races unfold and we finish out our season here at Doghouse and crown a champion.
I know for the admins, they always enjoy to see a low caution count race, and a caution-free one is going to give them a big smile as we head into Las Vegas next week. You don't want to miss. It's going to be some great racing action. But once again, check out our social medias if you'd like to see more information on our 4th annual 6 Hours Daytona race. If you'd like to sign up, see what more information is there, as the race will be January 4th, as we partner up with Breakthrough T1D, a great charity group to be a part of and be partnered up with for the 4th year in a row. But for us here tonight, we want to say thank you so much for joining with us. For myself, Sam Dyer, for Zach Hall, for Robert Moyer Jr., and everyone else part of Freaky Fast Broadcasting, thank you for joining with us on your Thursday night for the Shoney's Doghouse Cup Series. If you're just watching and enjoying, thank you. Remember to hit that like button, comment what you enjoyed about the race here tonight, as those are ways for us to know, hey, how are you enjoying the broadcast? Are you enjoying the racing? Again, and if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button. But for this evening and for your Thursday night, thank you so much for joining with us. We will see you next week for Las Vegas, but if you can't wait until then, we'll see you Monday night for more playoff racing action for the ISRC for the ISRC Layer Out Productions Truck Series. We will see you then Monday for our next Freaky Fast broadcast.